Put the beverage down. All right, now what were you saying?
I was talking about Attack on Titan. It's a show that has come out recently and in the past. In fact, it came out so long ago, I remember recommending the manga to you, although it's still in its basic subscription. In fact, that's why we're here today, because I want to say 5 years ago, there was a certain chapter in Attack on Titan, and when it was released and when I read it, it could just blew my mind, because it was a drama bomb that was refreshingly tight, layered, and painful. You know, and like it's one of those things where I was like, "Oh my god!" I never connected to the sorrow more than at that moment. And the first thing I did was like, "This is a real emotional experience." Hey, I know a guy who's about that real emotional experience. So I run over this kid lived. What is it, like 12 feet from me?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I mean, I did go and read.
Did you?
Like 40 to like 50 chapters of Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
By the time the anime came out, probably 6 to 8 months later, I had forgotten I ever read it ever.
It's an interesting thing.
In
And,
retrospect, I remember the art being really bad.
the art is that's one of the more inspiring things about Attack on Titan. Not to actually throw any shade, but let's be real, it's really scratchy. Okay, it's scratchy, and
it's just bad. Like
okay.
it's like, and I don't mean it like again. I don't mean it in a I don't mean to put it.
He did it. Okay,
but in the same
he
way,
wrote it.
In the same way that like Hunter x Hunter art is the manga is really poorly drawn.
Oh,
but the anime is perfect, and that's cool. Yeah. Like I love like see that's where we start to appreciate anime is like when they can refine the story and the art to something new. Like that's more credit for why there needs to be an anime adaptation.
Absolutely, and when a story is told, how pretty it is and how effective it is at visually communicating certain things. There's a threshold, and after you pass that threshold, you're kind of good. And Attack on Titan as a manga did that well enough where sometimes it draws some stick people and draws some silly people, and the Titans were always the grab bag of anatomy. But he was having fun with it, and it was fun, and it got the emotion across, which is the weight of the series. Attack on Titan was an incredible success and very powerful and inspired a lot of, let's be real, people who were
huge
enough
fan
about
base.
it. Yeah, to cosplay.
Okay,
cosplay thing exploded.
Talking about cosplay. Okay, so like let's look at Attack on Titan, the bare bones. Like first of all, it is just a fangirl's dream of. All the costumes are uniformly similar.
Oh, they're pretty.
It is just bondage wear.
Yeah,
like, it is straps around skinny boy legs. Like
yeah, you get a lot of everything.
Mikasa is just monstrous human physical person, which is great.
She's very,
but also quiet and completely an object. Like
no, there's lots of this and that.
No, I'm just saying like there's a lot of appeal there. Like
also let's be real, all the characters are for everybody. Like, different races, different nationalities, and different body types. That's a big thing, too. They really explain, is it perfect? No, but they get a nice spread, which, compared to some other anime, this is very lacking.
Yeah, well, because there's very much a normal person spread. They're all just kind of young adult people, kind of adult people.
Yeah, but
I'd call a lot of them are drawn as teenagers, but
they push their nationality a couple times, like and how their character designs at least.
Yeah, there's diversity.
And that's things they never talk about it because nobody remembers where people were from, but. Like, it is very refreshing to be like, no, you drew them as different races.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about the beginning of the series, it felt very much to me like Steam Boy and FMA actually. Like when the first two episodes
it is Funimation,
are very like reminiscent, and it's kind of what got me like kind of hooked on it. Like not hooked, but like kind of like. I'll take a second look at this.
Yeah.
I don't like Steam Boy's beginning or plotline at all. Which is the same plotline that it starts out with in this movie.
Steam Boy is
But I mean I love
drawn.
seeing like these human characters get absolutely ravaged emotionally.
Oh yeah, just you really get to see characters thrown against a wall, broken, and have to put themselves back together.
Yeah, it's like, not a fair series like to these characters. You know, you're very much like, oh, we met this character and they could just be eviscerated. Like,
oh yeah. It's mean.
And
it's mean to the viewer, which has some appeal and has been gaining appeal in certain media, let's say Game of Thrones, where it's like, hey, but guess what? I'm writing the story, so we're just gonna kill this person.
Yeah, that was the huge problem I had, even going into the second season, which we won't even talk about the huge year gap that is just a travesty, honestly.
What is that, a year? It was more than a year. How long?
No,
how long
the multi-year
yes,
gap.
Was it 2.5 years?
No, it's been like 4 years. Technically,
God, I don't even. And what's really insulting about that? The season 1 and season 2 has an abnormally large gap in it. One might suspect it's because they spent so much time and money into the animation.
No, they made 3 live-action movies in the first year after.
What I'm saying is that could have been avoided. What he said, we're saying it could have been avoided. This could have been done a little bit better, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Objectively a mistake.
And it's unforgivable because they don't recognize it, because in the second season, they start like nothing ever happened. They're in the middle of the plot like, oh yeah, you guys just watched the last episode, right?
Back and forth. I'd almost like either that or they'd stumble through trying to recap it. So I kind of feel like it's like, hey, you got through the mess. It's shitty, but I don't expect any more out of you.
It's like, for me, fundamentally, Attack on Titan is about 2 things. I don't actually care where the story goes. I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. They want to know Aaron's dad's main thing. They want to know all these where these characters are going. I am there 100% for the sheer human spectacle that is the emotional reaction these characters have and the art. I mean, I can't.
That's because that's all there is, though.
Oh, God.
Are those 2 things?
And the thing is, what I'm saying is, I'm okay with that.
Fair enough.
I'm okay with this entire thing being Frankenstein together because we got episode 31.
So,
we got episode 31.
My big problem kind of going into any of the end of Attack on Titan, even the manga, stopping is, they set up all of these mysteries, all of this, where are the Titans from? What is this? What is this? And honestly, the series itself, for me, I do not feel confident in their ability to follow through on those promises.
And I'm right there with you. And
that's what made me... And that's, I mean, I was the 3 episodes into this second season, and I was kind of like, I'm done with it. I don't want to watch anymore. I don't have any confidence in them following through and making a good story, or these promises and these mysteries being worth learning about. But
payoff, you're worried the payoff's gonna be
exactly
crap.
I mean, what is that Sasha episode was a waste of time.
That's a waste of animation. It's a waste of money.
But I think you were kind of ticked off about who the Armored and Colossal Titan were, and that it's okay, they're just all Titans now. You specifically said that to me. Are you still upset about that? How do you feel about that now?
The actual happening of that, I mean, honestly, I wasn't upset about it. I was really excited about it. I mean, when it got to the point where that happened, I am unlike you, where I believe they have the ability to make the payoff worth it, because I don't know if this happened in the manga, but in the anime, in the first season, there's scenes that reference episode 31. In my mind, when I read the manga, I really only got to about where season 2 is, and then a little bit farther. But that we talked about in the Hunter x Hunter video that we did. We talked about defining moments. We talked about things that make everything worth it.
There is a good one in episode 31.
And I'd say episode 31 for me is worth the whole series. Now that seems like a little outlandish to bet a whole series on an episode, but this is how much I'm in. The emotional commitment to that episode is clear with the music, with how even they panned out on a scene.
Be specific. What are you talking about that was the moment for you?
Okay, all right.
I have a moment that I really liked, what is the specific
obviously
moment?
Spoilers, no shit, but really the moment is when it is revealed that Reiner and Beltrod, or whatever, how you pronounce his name, is Bertold, yeah. That they are the Armored Titan and the Colossal Titan. And when he says that, it's a really interesting moment, because it takes Eren, a person who was even told that they might be Titans, a moment to sort of digest that. And it even still takes everyone else in the world to digest that. But you, as a reader and a viewer, understand that when that is said, that's not said for any other implication. That is not said to say like,
you don't second guess it.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh my god, they are. So you just clicked into this moment that is happening, and you are front row and center. You are ready for Aaron's reaction, Reiner's reaction, Beltor's reaction. You're ready for everything, and it's a beautiful primer.
It's a locus of, you know, a bunch of plot movement is about to happen.
Oh god, and the episode knows it, the series knows it, and when they make that like it, to me, like when it gets defined that they're traitors in the next episode, like that they really push it. I mean, Aaron says, "You damn traitors" at the end of that episode.
See, that's actually what was the scene for me that I thought was really powerful, was like, because they have that whole setup of Aaron being like, should I go with them? Should I like explore this? And I love that moment where he's like, no, I'm gonna fucking murder these two monsters.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been so disgusted.
Exactly, like I love that, like, you know, Eren Yeager is a pretty bland character, but I love that they just like, no, he is full of bile and hate for these people, despite all of their reactions. Right. And also, this felt like I felt like it was a good kind of them coming clean on their promises, because it just happened quickly. I was like, okay, we didn't wait till the last episode of the season to do something like this. We moved quick, and like them moving quick gives me hope.
Yes,
gives me just a little bit of hope.
And that's really all it is. I mean, when that promise was delivered, when I was reading the manga, I don't know, media is so interesting these days because we have so many different ways to approach it. And one of the choices I made was when I was reading the manga and I got to that point, I read on a little bit more, and there's more manga to read. I could catch up even farther, but I decided to wait, because I liked the anime so much that I wanted my moments. I had this great moment where I read the manga and I got to that point. So I wanted to have another one in the anime, so I wanted to save that. So I stopped reading the manga and I just switched right to the anime. And I watched the whole thing completely, like, absorbed, because I knew episode 31 was going to happen. And that made the series for me. Like, and I think that's a really important thing to focus on. But the problem is, I am not a good representation of the average viewer of the show. And to insult the viewer of the show, the average viewer of the show, enough to where you make them wait that long, where they don't have that information.
Like,
it's rude.
It's so from writing class, from being like, you know, from my screenwriting classes, you know, like one of the big things we talk about
from our studies
is writers have a bad tendency of playing coy a lot of times in an effort to build suspense.
Right.
And
that's just it cheapens the suspense.
Typically, again, yeah, exactly. It's a cheap way for you to feel like you have some kind of superior or power in the storytelling process when people aren't on the same page as you, because you're kind of arbitrarily withholding some kind of information from them. And to me, again, it very much cheapens the experience for me. So like, them coming very clean with this very quickly, I really like. We're on the flip side where we've really, like, the Beast Titan, we've really kind of just like, oh, what's going on here? And we're just gonna spend a bunch of time not knowing. Like, I get suspense. I don't mind it being built up suspense of like, oh, what's his move gonna be? But I want in my mind to have some kind of, you know, thought process of like, what do I think he could be doing?
Exactly.
Right now it's a total mystery, and it's not. And I don't care about it then. Like,
you want a reason. You want to be able to guess. That's a part of the appeal of a lot of, say, mystery shows or anything like that. You are given evidence, and then you draw some sort of conclusion about it, and that's what makes the anticipation exciting, because you have a bet. You have like, wait a minute, I think I know where this is going. And if you're wrong, there are two things that can happen. You can either be like, oh, I'm wrong. Why am I wrong? You can look at it, and if it makes sense to you, then you can be like, oh, that's why I was wrong. Okay,
another way to look back at it is, you know, in a mystery thing, you want to see a red herring and be able to get information from it, and then later that information to change. The way the mystery is set up here, it's very much like, I have no idea what that was for. And when something happens later, it's like, oh, it's because of this plant we went back to. And when you don't remember what your thought process was for that original plant, like Reiner, you know, saying like, oh, remember back in that episode where he kind of just like asked where Eren was? I don't remember
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
there was nothing to really tip me off or think about that being important
And
at the time.
what was interesting is, from my perspective, I completely knew, like, the scene was very much, like, obvious when he spent way too much time at Titan's hand. He went in a different direction. And I mean, I know everything, so I'm just like, oh my god, yeah.
See, but me watching the series...
But it wasn't even that satisfying.
That's the thing. For me watching the series, I see that happens and I'm just like, is this just poor quality?
Right.
Because the timing and pacing of the series has been so poor before that when things like that happen, I'm like, it feels really unfair to me for that to be a clue when, to me, it just came off as just like, I think you're just doing a bad job telling the story.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing. And that's just because my trust isn't built up because they've done other things where they've played coy. And that's the danger of playing coy as a writer.
You haven't, exactly. What you need to do is you need to, it's actually a sales tactic we talked about. You need to build trust in your audience, and the way you do that is you tell them something and then you deliver on it. Attack on Titan doesn't deliver on things it says. It delivers on one thing it says, but it has 80 things, and none of them are, like, you have no chance of being right, is what we're saying.
Exactly. And that's not fair to the reader, or to the audience.
Exactly. Now, it does create a unique situation where nobody's right, so everybody's surprised. But that isn't, always
so. But like, if you even like take an exercise of point of view. Let's say our point of view is supposed to be limited to Eren at least.
Right.
This whole Reinhardt and Bertholdt being a Titan thing, in the middle of an episode, we all of a sudden have a flashback where Eren and the whole team are kind of briefed on that. Yeah, they might be Titans.
Yeah.
That's not fair to, like, it's like, oh, we want to reveal Bertholdt and Reinhardt as Titans. Let's arbitrarily, convolutedly plant a flashback where, like, all of the clues are planted. And it's like, well, that wasn't fair at all.
It's kind of like those Naruto fights.
Exactly.
Where
it's like,
they'd go on and you're like, wait a minute, that whole last chapter was an illusion? Like, come on, guys.
That's kind of cool in Naruto because illusions are at least set up as a thing.
Yeah.
In this, it's just like, oh no, I guess we'll just plant a flashback here because otherwise people will have no idea why we did this.
And that's the thing.
It's cheating. It's cheating.
And that's true. I agree with that fact. You shouldn't have a story. You should be able to take flashbacks out of stories. Flashbacks should be ancillary and should only add style and emotion. If they don't, they should add no plot. Really good flashback? Toy Story 2. Jesse's flashback, we don't learn any information that was essential, but we learned so much about the attitude of the character, and we like the character more because of it. Could that flashback not be in the story? Yeah, because it's a flashback. It's not important. If you make the flashback important,
that wouldn't change Jesse's character.
Yeah, exactly. And that should.
But this is something that happened while we were watching the series. It's just a scene they didn't show us.
Yeah,
like,
and the very much like when it does it right in the middle. It what's interesting about its placement is that it knows Attack on Titan knows its audience doesn't know, which is being stupid and mean. Like,
and the thing is, they have the ability to plant these seeds. What is it's very interesting. I was watching it with Michael, and Michael has a really hard time picking up anime facial expressions and subtext within. So there's that scene where the girl 2 episodes before who turns into like a Titan.
Yeah.
She's mean to Connie and she does like a really dickish. She has like a really dickish line. She's like, "Yeah, like your village sucks and whatnot. You're shit." And like I immediately picked up like, oh, she's trying to distract him from how horrible it happened. And then the next scene, they have Reinhardt talking like, "Yeah, why'd you do that to do that exact thing that I just had to explain to Michael because he didn't pick it up in the subtext." Right. And I was just like, see, that was where, like, that was planted there. And then they explained it for the people who didn't get it, which is good. But,
and
like,
you can do it.
You organically in the scene planted that subtext. And that's great. That's good. That's good making her out to be a Titan.
That created that, exactly, suspicion. And then also, because that's the thing, the reaction should not be, oh my god, they're Titans. It should be, oh my god, those people are Titans.
Yeah.
Exactly. It should be like, you should have been like, okay, now which one of them is it?
Well, especially because they like, I think another part of the weakness too is like, so if you vaguely recall, the reason all of them got brought to that tower in the first place is because they were all suspected of being Titans.
Right.
But the thing is, 4 years happened in between those 2 episodes.
And it's like,
and so you don't remember that. And it's just, again, on the weakness of there being a 4-year gap. And these are the problems you run into. Yeah. I want to just flash to a little bit of positivity on this too. One of the things I really love about Reinhardt and Bertholdt being Titans is, you know, that whole arc where we got of Kevin and them being in training camp and the flashbacks we keep having of them being in training camp? It never really made sense to me. Like, it felt like a very kind of like, okay, we kind of had two separate kind of like animes going on.
Yeah.
But it kind of links together. The reason all of those people went into military camp were because of what the Titans did. You know, what Reinhardt and Berthold did. They inspired all of these people to join the army. And then, I don't know, I think there's a string of, you know, narrative that connects all those characters together much better with them being Titans. And that added a huge kind of, like, chunk to the story.
The problem with Attack on Titan has never been its actual story, it's its delivery. It's delivered a little, like, haphazardly. Because it gets a little excited because it knows it has some pretty good twists. And
it's the thing. It is interesting. It's very good. You know, Lost Smoke Monster, but that's what makes me really scared of it delivering all the time.
Exactly. Is its ending and for me, the fact that they did the episode 31 well, and I had a good experience from it, brings me to a conclusion that maybe the conclusion of this series is going to be equivalent, but. You don't have a lot of faith.
I don't think so. I think we're gonna end with it being some, you know, very Japanese, like, oh, it was all about the spirit of humanity or God or the origin of the cosmos, and that's why things are this way. And Aaron's actually like an archangel or something. And I don't want any of that. And I understand like
that noise is so 90s.
I understand that that's very much a cultural kind of thing that like I don't appreciate as a Western viewer.
Well, I mean,
this is a modern story, and I want it.
The thing that gives
you that
gives you that vibe a lot, and what gets you a little bit like anxious. Is the opening for the second season.
And I love the opening. I love the opening of the second season. I love that it tells you a little bit of story.
Yeah.
But
it does kind of give that vibe where it's like, oh, is this all going to be like a human evolution like parallel? Like,
exactly.
Is this...
And like, I think there's room for that to be kind of a larger thing that's not talked about. I want it to be about the human element and the human stories going on.
God.
But again, I don't
fundamentally, we need to remember that it is an injection that makes these people Titans. Like, Eren got an injection from his father that turned him into a Titan against his own will. Meaning that it is ultimately going to be this one man's ego to create things.
Exactly, and I just...
is going to be the end of it.
I don't want that Evangelion, you know, existential ending that... I don't want to say nobody understands or there's no point to it, but it's convoluted to the point that it undermines the human story that was told, and I don't want that to happen. And it very much looks like that's what's going to happen.
The final positivity is... At the end of the day, we're going to watch all the episodes. And
I am back on board on finishing the series.
Oh, absolutely. And alone will always be the art. Funimation has... I saw Brotherhood. Brotherhood was great. And Funimation did some work before. But let's be real. This is insane. Like, this is beautiful. Like, as far as editing goes, as far as, like, animation goes.
I would point out that they were doing this animation 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they didn't really step anything up. It was absolutely cutting edge at the times. And it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, like, knock it.
Right.
But
I'm excited it's happening. Because that means that we're at least deciding, no, this is standard. Like, if you have a series this good, this is what happens to it. Like, we did this for FMA, and we're gonna, like, it's an honest take. I mean, I don't need 80s style Akira animation. That's never gonna happen again.
Yeah, I don't need the hand-drawn. I like the 3D kind of, you know, like,
mix.
bullet time stuff they do.
I really, really love it when the art is pushed to this. It's like, nope, this is what we get for. Like, all those faces are drawn. Like, all those faces are drawn well. All of them have, like, there's some 3D base layers and this and that and then that, but it's all filtered.
Done well.
It's all uniform. It works, and they're not skimping on scenes that when Eren comes down the wall, transforming, and the armored titan is coming down,
they don't skimp.
They don't skimp. And I'm like, thank you. And that's all I ask for. That's as long as you're like, okay, as long as there's a range of animation, as long as there's a standard that is good, and as long as when a scene deserves it, you give it that money, and that means to me that at least we're gonna get that sort of animation bump reaction. And that's, I mean, I come from, you know, appreciation of fight anime where, like, it would be 5 episodes of like basic plot animation that's kind of simple, and then they get into a fight scene, and my mind would light up.
And that's a really good formulaic way to create drama and suspense, which this series does occasionally pretty well.
Exactly, and it's got some potential.
So let us know what you guys have been thinking about Attack on Titan. We'll definitely do like a series like ender
recap. We just had
when
to
it ends, but we definitely just wanted to talk about kind of like the differing opinions we kind of both had going into this second season. Like and subscribe, guys. Make sure you check out our other videos. They're great. And we'll catch you in the next video.
On the flip side.